So a lot of people ask, how can I find social media influencers, particularly on TikTok, to promote my Amazon products? That's why in today's video, we're gonna be speaking to Raf from the Uptick.com, and we're gonna be discovering, is TikTok a platform that you should be leveraging if you are an Amazon seller? Let's get started. So Raf, we're gonna talk about TikTok. Look, TikTok is I'm not good at TikTok. It's a platform that I'm not doing well on. So that's why you're the expert. But before we dive into it, tell me a little bit more about you and a little bit more about the Uptick.com for anyone that hasn't seen you on our channel before.
For sure. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So a little bit about me. I used to be a primary school teacher or grade school teacher.
Yeah.
And then my wife and I, we built 2 Amazon brands, and we built it up and grew it. And then we sold both of those brands, which was great. And then I think it was about maybe 2020 when my wife, she was a chronic Instagram user. And then, all of a sudden she asked me to do this
one of those chronic Instagram users.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then she all of a sudden asked me to do this weird challenge thing that picking up a chair thing. And I'm like, I did the thing. And I was like, what's this about? Where's this challenge coming from? She's like, oh, it's from this app called TikTok. This is during COVID times. And she's in this thing. I was like, oh, interesting. And so at that time I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. It's changed your behavior, and your behavior doesn't change that drastically in such a short period of time. So I'm like, okay. So I started focusing on TikTok at that time. This was 2020. And at that time, there's no ads platform. It was literally just content. And so we just exited our brands. I had some capital. So I was like, okay, I'm going to teach myself how to use TikTok. And so I knew Amazon, of course. I understood that space. And so I got a bunch of Me Too products and launched them on Amazon. I gave myself a goal to sell out of all my inventory, but using primarily TikTok traffic. Didn't know how to do it.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And so I just started trying to message creators. You can't DM them until they're your friends. So I need to find their emails from somewhere. Anyways, I reached out to a bunch of these creators. I'm like, hey, do you want to create a video for my product? And so started doing that, and then started getting some traction and some sales going through onto Amazon. I was like, okay, interesting. So that started growing, reached out to more influencers, more creators. And then the ads platform launched, and I was like, okay, I'm going to teach myself TikTok ads. So I did that and was able to get the traction going. And then I realized, well, if I want to scale this thing, I can't just be working with creators. I need to figure out how to hire internal creators so they can create content for me, whether it's for ads or for my own account. So I figured out how to do that. And then about maybe a year and a half ago now, TikTok US launched TikTok Shop.
Yeah.
And that took the whole thing to a completely different level. And so since then, I've just been working with brands to leverage TikTok and TikTok traffic, work with a couple aggregators to build out their external marketing systems, leveraging TikTok and top funnel marketing. And then we started the Uptick, which is what you asked me about. And that's where we help brand owners implement these systems of borrowed traffic, work with influencers, affiliates, paid traffic, how to run ads on TikTok, and then own traffic, how to hire internal creators and make sure that they have those systems inside their business.
Wow. That's an incredible story, and how inspirational it is for someone to show everyone who's watching us that actually Amazon does work, because I get a lot of people that tell me, oh my God, it's just so difficult.
Okay, for those people who are listening to this and think Amazon is difficult, Amazon fulfills existing demand. So you don't have to learn how to capture attention. They're already there. Your job is to make the product better and for it to show up, which is amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
Perfect. So as I told you, I want to break down our conversation into a 3-step process. And starting off with step number 1 would be why? Why should I be using an app that people tend to dance on and do challenges to sell my Amazon products? Should I be not just utilizing Amazon itself? Or, I'm focusing on Amazon. I know that you're going to be explaining the fact that you could just push that traffic anywhere you want, whether that be on your Shopify store or your TikTok shop or Amazon. But we primarily talk about Amazon. So why TikTok?
Great question.
Why not?
Why not? Exactly. Why not? But I think to answer that question, I just need to share a bit of context for the viewers. So when you're selling on Amazon, what you're doing is you're selling to a buyer that's solution aware. So let's say I really want to buy a reusable water bottle. This is the example I use all the time. But if I want a reusable water bottle, I already know that, hey, I shouldn't drink out of plastic bottles. It might be microplastics, or I want something that, can make my water cold for 24 hours and hot for 12 hours or something. So I go on Amazon and I search that. But when I search it in the search bar on Amazon, I'm comparing all these different products. And now as a seller, I need to convince you as a buyer who's typed this in to buy from me. And so that's a bottom of funnel, solution aware buyer. But with TikTok, you end up being able to talk to your buyers at top of funnel where they're not even aware that there's a problem. And why is that important? Like, why is it valuable? It's because you can get them before they start comparing with your competitors. And so if they hear about your product on a platform, they're going there for entertainment primarily, edutainment secondarily, to entertain and educate. Then when they decide, okay, I want to buy this thing, they're going to look for your brand and they'll type in your brand as opposed to reusable water bottle. And even if your competitors come up, they'll choose yours because they've seen so much social proof, so many videos. And so it actually improves conversion and it makes your competition on the platform irrelevant. That's why TikTok.
That's perfect. That's a perfect answer because as you are probably very much aware, a lot of people that look at Amazon as a new platform for them to sell products, they first say, well, it's too saturated. Well, there's too many competitors. So, of course, in any case, there's always competitors in any business. And like you rightfully said, you're just filling, the demand is already there. You're just providing your take on what somebody wants. But figuring out external traffic and top of funnel would be an alternative way to remove yourself from the competition.
Exactly right. Because what you see is like those brands who really take top of funnel awareness or external traffic seriously, they can launch products that would be quote unquote saturated on Amazon, but those competitors on Amazon are literally marketing nowhere else. They're only on Amazon. And so you get to be the only person in that customer's mind that actually has the solution for what they're looking for.
Because I saw it on TikTok, so I'm just going to Amazon to purchase.
Exactly.
Moving on to number 2, which is how.
Okay.
Great. All sounds great. But probably for people watching us, they're thinking, well, I don't want to dance on TikTok. I don't want to do whatever Raf did with his wife as a challenge. Like I don't want to be seen on the camera or like, I don't know. I watch a lot of creators that teach how to create content. And I guess they constantly get questions of what camera are you using? What microphone are you using? So if you are not a content creator and you want to just sell products, should you become like your own TikTok star?
No, definitely not. I mean, that's definitely not what I did at all. Like I don't have that skill set to be a TikTok creator, but I like saying instead of being a consumer of content, we want to curate content. And so the truth is not every product works on TikTok. And so you need to make sure your product works. And so what you need to be able to do is firstly achieve product content market fit. You may have achieved product market fit on Shopify or on Amazon, but if you don't know how to visually show your product in that short form format, it's not going to work. And so when I say not every product works on TikTok, there's 3 filters that I check to make sure that a product can work. The first is that it's demonstratable. So I can visually show the product in use. Like if it's a water bottle, I can show it like closing. I can show the little hanger. I can see the silicone bottom. That's demonstratable. Cool. The next piece is that it's serving a passionate audience, that people are talking about being more eco-friendly. That's the problem space that your product lives in, right? It needs to be that. And then lastly, the customer has a clear transformation. So if I was selling like a collagen product, you'd need to see a before and after of my skin. You know, there's like a transformation that's happening. Or if I'm selling a sleep supplement, you know, same thing. You get better sleep. You can show yourself being restless and then you can show yourself sleeping well, right? That's visually showing the transformation that the customer goes through, right?
That's how content works on TikTok. Okay.
Because visual, right? If you don't have those 3 things, like your product's gonna be very difficult to leverage a platform like TikTok.
Yeah. Great. So everyone watching now is like, okay, Raf, tell us what to do.
Okay.
What to do. What I'm like, if somebody's selling a product, just give us the solution.
So step 1 is achieving product content market fit. And the way you do that is getting your product in the hands of people who have the skill set of creating content. So working with borrowed traffic, which is affiliates and influencers.
Yes.
So if I were you, step 1, I would go on the platform, whatever geographic you're in, and build a list of your Dream 100 influencers/affiliates that you want to work with. And you won't, if you have a product suite, like your brand has 20 products, choose 1 or 2 that fit those 3 filters the best. That's all you're going to push. You're not going to push the rest, just those 3, just those 2 with those 3 filters. And then go ahead and contact each of these creators. Find them on email, find where, if they're on Instagram, DM them. If they're on LinkedIn, contact them and offer them, hey, will you be willing to make a post for my product here? I'll provide you a retainer and a commission of sales that you drive. And reach out, follow up. And you need to get a handful of those creators in when they start getting results, then you add the testimonial of those results to the next batch of emails,
Got you.
and you keep going.
Got
Yeah.
you. How does the uptick come into play here?
So that exact process that I shared with you in a step-by-step way, we help you leverage borrowed traffic, exactly what filters to use to find the right creators for you,
Yeah.
how to negotiate,
Yeah.
how to create the deal structure, how to get them on a long-term retainer,
Yeah.
how to eventually hire those creators internally so you can have own traffic. So
Yeah.
you can create content like 20, 30, 60 videos a month on your own accounts.
Talking about own accounts, you technically don't need to have, with what you're talking about, you technically don't really need to have your own account, or do you? If I'm just selling a product on Amazon, for example, and I want to leverage.
I would highly recommend you have your own
Okay.
account. And the reason for that, the easiest on-ramp is, of course, working with influencers and creators, right?
Yeah.
So we've got that. Don't do paid ads yet. That would be last. It would be own traffic first. So for example, if you see an ad for something, you most likely will go, like a product anywhere on the internet, you might go to their website, or you might check them on Amazon to see if they're legitimate.
Yeah.
TikTok's a little bit similar. Like if they'll see the brand name, they'll look them up. And if your brand account has 0 followers, 0 piece of content, they're like, this might just be a drop shipper and might not be someone that I'm actually gonna get the product for. And so I always recommend brand owners to at least have an account, like go on something like Join Brands or Billo or any one of these services that you can work with UGC creators. Create 5 to 7 pieces of
You
content.
can even go on Fiverr.
Yeah, or even on
Yeah.
Fiverr,
Yeah.
exactly. Create 5 to 7 pieces of content, post that, and then just run a follower campaign. Get to at least 1,000 followers so you seem legitimate, right?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just focus on the affiliate influencers until you get that right, and then we're going to hire an internal creator long term. That's a different thing.
I love the fact that you're making it so simple, because you're breaking it down into the steps. Because I find like a lot of people think they're just gonna create that perfect piece of content, it's gonna go viral, and they're gonna drive a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Probably not
Definitely not.
necessarily how the case goes.
Yeah.
And I really love the concept of, there's so many great creators. They figured it out. Fine. Let's just get them to sell our
Exactly.
product, rather than having to spend the time and effort that you had to spend, because you had the time.
Exactly right. Yeah.
A lot of, obviously, when you were an Amazon seller, I'm not sure you had the same time to
I did
do that.
not,
You were
no.
focusing on Amazon
Exactly right.
to do that. So I love the concept. However, let's go back to a person creating content for themselves, for their own channels. Is there anything in particular that you would say they should and should not do?
Yeah.
Because you said the great things that you said in the beginning about figuring out the 3 things. How would you figure out if your product can succeed on TikTok? Just test?
Literally, it's those 3 things. If
Yeah.
it fits those 3 things, you have a chance for it to work really well. It's as long as it fits those 3 things, it's good.
So technically, if you're an Amazon product, if you're an Amazon seller selling a product, it should fit.
It should. There's some
Yeah.
that don't. So
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of an Amazon product that doesn't work well. So let's say you sell like a bandage wrap for once you've freshly got a new tattoo, right? So sure, there might be people that it's demonstratable. Sure, you can show that. But is there a clear transformation? Maybe. Is there a passionate audience talking about bandage wraps or tattoos? Probably not. Maybe tattoos generally, but they'll probably get that bandage wrap from someone who they've got the tattoo from, right? So like that doesn't make as much sense, right?
Got you. It's too narrow of an audience.
Too narrow
Yeah.
of a product. It's great
Yeah.
on Amazon because you fulfill demand. People are going to be searching that.
Yeah.
But on TikTok, that sort of stuff doesn't work.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
But you could sell a table, right, on TikTok, because you transform your entire space. If you're setting up, a sitting up, stand up desk, and you have your whole
Yeah.
desk set up, lots of people talking about it, demonstratable transformation on like a dark, dingy office to something beautiful and aesthetic.
Yeah.
Obvious, right?
That's so cool.
It's pretty cool, right? And so I think to answer your question, like, okay, what do you need to do and how do you get to the next steps? It's like, if you're trying to create content on your own thing just to get that follower campaign going,
Yeah.
the type of content you want to create isn't selling content. This is what I see most Amazon sellers make the mistake of when they're posting content on their own account. They're only creating like, hey, here's a 10% off this thing. Go ahead and buy this thing. Doesn't work.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
work
yeah.
because the issue with that is that people aren't on TikTok to be sold to. They're on there for entertainment first and then education second, edutainment, you
Yeah.
call it. And so you want to create content in awareness and consideration. So, and what that means is like there's 4 content types. There's awareness content where you're talking about the problem space that your product lives in. I'll give you a brand example in a second. And then there's consideration content where you introduce the product in the problem space. And then there's conversion content, which is like, hey, buy this thing. You're working with affiliates and influencers for that. You're not creating that. You're getting them to create that.
Okay.
And then there's retargeting content where you're creating ads. And that's when you're doing retargeting content.
Yeah.
So let's talk about awareness. What do I mean by that?
Yes.
So Snow Teeth Whitening is a great example.
Yes.
They do a teeth whitening product, obviously, but they're creating content around oral health. They're just expanding the problem that their product lives in. That's the main point, right? And so let's say you're selling a cat litter box, let's say, a litter box for cats. You would create content around, a day in the life of living with a cat, or like funny things cats do. So you're attracting awareness from people who this product would be relevant for. That's the type of content you want to create. And if you're creating consideration content, you could have the cat. I'm just using the same example. You can have the cat, and then that litter box is kind of in the background. Be like, oh, I have this really smooth and easy way to get, rid of the cat's, business, let's say, right? But you're not saying, hey, buy this thing right now from this website at all.
Yeah.
You're just introducing the product. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense, and it clears it out for a lot of people. And I'm sure a lot of people who are watching and hearing, they're like, yes, yeah, 100% agree with Raf. What do you think about, because I get a lot of people who take their Amazon images, I already know what you're going to say, but they take their Amazon pictures and they create them into a video. And then they're like, it's not selling.
That's not going to sell. I mean... You have to remember, where are you getting the buyer from? On Amazon, those pictures work because they're already sold on the idea they want this solution.
Yeah.
On TikTok,
they're looking for it.
They're looking for it, exactly. But on TikTok, they're not. They're there for entertainment and edutainment. Yeah. So you need to convince them in that 30, 45-second video that it's worthwhile for them to even be interested in this space, right? And that's super important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raf, a follow-up question to what you said of find your ideal 100 creators, start contacting them. I do hear a lot of people say, well, who's gonna bother with me? I'm just like somebody who just launched their brand. I just have a couple of SKUs. I'm not really that big. Is it quite easy to work with creators nowadays? Is it like difficult? Should you just do the work and try to find the ideal
It
people?
depends.
Yeah.
Right? And so if I told you by adding the external traffic lever in your business, in a year's time, you could make your competition irrelevant. You could increase your sales dramatically and then figure out different products to launch that would be in a blue ocean. Would you do it? Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
certainly,
like we're business owners, right? So like to a degree, you got to put in the work, but let's talk about actually how to put the work in, right? So yeah, if you're a new brand, that's fine. But why would creators work with any brands to begin with, right? They work with them because being a content creator is great, but it's very irregular, the money that they're getting, right?
Yeah.
And so like some months will be amazing and other months is like absolutely nothing. It's very risky. And so what creators want to do is work with brand owners that can give them reliability. And so if you contact a creator and say, hey, listen, I'm putting $150 aside, for example, to make 3 posts for me, for example. If this does well, I have a space on my roster for a reoccurring retainer. It might be $300 or whatever, or $400.
Got it.
And you're going to be posting between 10 to 15 posts a month.
Yeah.
That's regularity for that creator.
Yeah.
And if they're doing well, they get a commission of the sales. And so that's even more money for them. But if they win, you win, right?
Got it.
And so that's why these creators would want to work with them. Even if you're a small brand, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they like the product, of course
course,
because there's
important.
a lot of content creators that want to say, send me the product, let me test it out. If I like it, I'll be happy to work with you. So why not?
Exactly.
Okay. Is there a rule of thumb of... Because a while back, I started hearing these terms of, if you are, if you only have 10K followers, then you're a micro creator or a micro influencer or something like that.
Yeah.
Is there like a particular rule of thumb for someone that wants to, launching a new brand? Should I maybe contact someone that has like 1 million followers, or
You could
maybe
try.
avoid? Yeah.
You could try, but I think you need to be going into it with your eyes wide open. If they have 1 million followers and they've worked with other brands, they're going to charge you a lot.
Okay.
And so if you as a brand haven't achieved product content market fit, you can't just give them the product. Any creator, don't just give them the product. You need to give them a brief, a sandbox. I like calling it a sandbox that these creators to play in. So like, what should they talk about? What are 3 things to talk about? What are 3 things to show? And what are examples of content in your niche that has gone well that you can add to your brief? so you can help them, right?
Perfect. Make it as close to what you want as possible by helping and supporting them. That this
Exactly.
is what you okay.
Exactly right. Because then if you're
Okay.
paying them, then you have a much better chance of getting an ROI. We're not just trying to give money away. We're brand owners. We want to make money, right? And so we need to stack the deck in our favor and make sure that there's examples of success that this creator can model in our niche. right?
Perfect.
And so
Not just like, here's the product, you go figure it out.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly right. And so the brief is super important piece. But getting back to your question before, you were talking about, okay, if I'm going to work with these creators, do I just send them a product and see if it's going to work or if it's going to be okay? Obviously, we want them to agree to work with us instead of just sending the product out.
Yeah.
Some creators are going to be like, oh no.
Yeah.
But when I'm trying to select products or creators, I'm not necessarily looking at followers as much on TikTok specifically. Other platforms, you'll probably have to look at followers. On TikTok, I'm looking for these things. I'm looking for if, their last 30 videos have an average of 1,000 views at least. And I'll explain why in a second, because TikTok's algorithm's a little bit different. I'm also going to be looking at if they regularly post. So they might, in their last 30 videos, have 1,000 each, but they post once a week. So this is their videos over that time. And thirdly, I'm looking at, are they talking to my target avatar? Right? Are they talking to the customer that I want to attract? Because let's say I'm selling like girl earrings, but I talk to a guy who has followers and like his stuff. It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be
Yeah.
careful of that. So there's that piece. So let's go back to why 1,000 at least, and the followers don't matter. So the way TikTok's algorithm works is that it's built on a content graph, not a social graph. So most social platforms, and now all these social platforms are copying this, by the way, but it's not as good as TikTok yet. But most social platforms used to be built on a social graph or social ground. And what that meant is the more followers you have, the more distribution your content gets. So more people get to see it, right?
Yeah.
But what TikTok did was, it doesn't really matter how many followers you have. If your content is engaging and it keeps people
Yes.
watching through,
Yeah.
then you have equal opportunity of going viral. That's why on TikTok, the word viral became so much more common.
Exactly.
Because you can have a video that gets millions of views, even if your average might be 1,000 or 2,000, right? And so you really want to make sure you've passed those filters first. They talk to your target audience. They're regularly posting, and their last 30 videos or so have an average of 1,000 views. So it's like, okay, cool. They're consistently posting and their content's getting picked up in the algorithm based on engagement. Then I'll start reaching out.
It's so much easier though,
Yeah.
if you consider other platforms. It's actually much easier to go viral. Hence why people are like obsessed with going viral.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What about advertising?
Advertising's tricky on TikTok.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because it's a video first platform, the video creative gets exhausted. That means like no longer working much faster. So if you have an image or video on Meta, like on Facebook or Instagram, you could use that same thing for like 6 months, maybe
Yeah.
a year, maybe
Yeah.
2 years sometimes.
I do see videos and I see them like 6 months later on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then you could figure out how long they've been running based on how many likes like a reel has.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, like what's up with this reel? But yeah.
Exactly. And it lasts ages because it
Yes.
converts. But
Yes.
on TikTok, it's different because it's a video first platform and there's way more content being posted.
Yes.
Novelty is king on that platform. And the creative will last maybe 14 days, 21 days. And
Okay.
so you need to have creators that you're working with, and you need to have a way of getting content created regularly. That's what you test. And so the way I like telling brands to do this is work with creators. If there's 1 or 2 or 3 videos that do well, go hire that creator again and ask them to create another 10 to 30 versions of that, not for them to post, but for you to have. And then you can then post that as an ad, and then you're driving lots of different conversions, right?
Got it.
That's the goal. That's the approach.
That's perfect. Let's move on to the last thing that I wanted to talk about. Okay, I've done what we've talked about. Let's say I'm an Amazon seller. This is what I did. I'm already doing very well. Should I just keep doing what I'm doing? Basically, now what?
Now
How
what?
do I scale from here? Is there like a certain system of scaling on TikTok, or what would be the way that you would
Yeah,
suggest?
for sure. I mean, it all depends on where your conversion vehicle is, right? So if you're driving to Amazon, there's a different strategy if you're driving to TikTok Shop and Shopify. So if you're driving to Amazon specifically, it would make sense for you to scale this thing. You've already have content that's working. You have creators that are working. You've posted on your own account, at least to get 1,000 followers or so. Your next step would be hire an internal creator, get them on your books and get them to create content for you regularly.
Yeah.
Awareness and consideration content. And once that starts doing well, start getting followership, mix in some conversion content, get that creator to be like, do a call to action.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you create content regularly in awareness and consideration? You're creating a lookalike audience for TikTok's algorithm to be like, oh, this is the type of people that are interested in this. I'm going to match that to the creator content that's posting. And now you get more distribution. You get in front of the right people at the moment they're ready to be interested, right? And so that's step one of scaling. Step two of scaling, once that does well, create another account, hire another internal creator. That's their account, right? And now you're going to give them a commission on every sale that they drive. It's only going to be basically conversion content, maybe a bit of awareness here and there. And you just do that over and over again. And you get so much distribution. In your customer's mind, you were nowhere. And then now, I like calling it a market clap. You're everywhere all at once, right?
Yeah.
And that's the goal. Yeah.
That's incredible. And people are able, I don't want anyone to think that you're only able to do this if you have like a team of 5 people working or 20 people working with you. No. You can do it if you are a solopreneur and you just need to hire teams, maybe people to help and support you. But this is something that's doable.
Yeah. I mean, I would recommend if you were going to do this, at least have a VA, even for a couple hours a day or an hour a day to help you build those lists, to help you follow up with the emails and things like that. Just because you're busy building your business.
And easy. Yeah.
That's like a $2 an hour task or $5 an hour task. It's not like you as the CEO, business owner doing that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So much stuff to unpack. Raf, that was absolutely wonderful. My last question is, I've personally seen for Amazon itself, UGC content doing very well instead of like a standard unboxing, of a product on your page. What do you think about that?
100%. Like, depending on where you're selling. So like in the GCC region, if you're selling on Amazon, I would go super hard on UGC content, like immediately. That's not unboxing. It's like the product in use. They're not selling you from the video. They're just using it in their lives. There's no limit on how many videos you can add to your Amazon listing. Add 20, add 30. Yeah. Like the more social proof that you have on that platform, the better. Because obviously reviews are one social proof, but that takes time on Amazon, right? But
a lot of time,
right? But you could pay for these videos to be created. And let's say you're launching a product and you may have 10 reviews. You get, whoever to get some reviews for you.
Yeah.
Right?
They're going to come.
They're going to come naturally. But you don't want to wait. And so how do you increase conversion? Obviously, you have a great image stack. You have A+ content that converts well. Of course, all those things, and it ranks. All that Amazon stuff is true. But add 20 to 30 videos, UGC content, onto your thing. Get those creators to post it about your product on Amazon. And now it's a link going to their Amazon affiliate, and it's so much more social proof. So even if you have 10 reviews, that increases your conversion so much more when they land on your Amazon listing.
What's your opinion with the Amazon Influencer Program? By the way, it just launched in UAE and KSA, I believe in November of 2024.
So I've worked with Amazon influencers, obviously in the States, the UK and Australia. The mistake that I made when I was working with them is I thought they all knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
They're just normal people.
They're just normal people. And that's lovely. But they're very much used to creating content like, oh, here's an unboxing, or here's this thing, but they're not really telling a story. And so if I were you, when I'm working with them, I would go super hard and say, you get this much commission. Obviously there's I think it's 3% across the world right now for Amazon affiliates.
Yeah, it's quite low.
But you can offer up to 8%, I think, as an Amazon influencer. And I would tell them, hey, this is all the examples of type of content that works on this platform. You can get that content from different places. Because if you're an Amazon buyer, you're still probably on TikTok. You're still probably on Instagram.
Yeah.
So if you're a brand owner, look on those platforms around your exact product, put that in the brief and be like, hey, create content like this. I'm going to give you this much commission. And I would go super hard if it's just launched. If I knew that when like Creator Connections opened in the States, I would have wasted a lot less time and a lot less inventory.
Yeah. Raf, it's absolutely wonderful talking to you. Let everyone know where they can find, it's the uptick.com, but, and where they can find more information about the uptick.com, you guys, what you guys are doing also.
100%. I mean, just go to the uptick.com, honestly. Like, we've got everything there. We can just jump on a call from there. I think the most important thing is you as a brand are ready to scale and have these systems put into your business. And I think understanding that you need to achieve product content market fit is first. So everything we've covered in this pod is going to be a great first step for you. And then, jump on a call, see if we can help. And if in the worst case scenario, if we can't help, we'll at least point you in the right direction.
Exactly.
And if we can help, then that'll be great and we can work together.
Perfect. Thank you, Raf, so much for your time and for being on the channel. I'm so excited to have a part 2 conversation. So for everyone that's watching this, make sure that you leave your comments in the comment section below so that we can have Raf another time and answer all of your questions.
And in those comments below, can it be a question that you'd like to be answered in part 2? That's what I want you to comment below.
Yes, correct.